Welcome to the Jalt Call podcast. I'm your host for the day, Jeff Carr, and I'm joined today by Luc Goujon at Sojo University. Hey, Luc.
Hello.
And our guests, Adam Jenkins and Bill White. Guys, thanks for coming on and talking tonight. Could I ask you guys to start off today by first introducing yourselves a little bit and telling us about Moodle in Japan and what you guys are doing with that?
Hi, I'm Bill White. I've been in Japan since 1988. I've been teaching. I started off in the Eikaiwa business, like a lot of us have at one point, and then moved into the university. I've been teaching in university since 2000, 99, 2000. Became interested in Moodle in about 2005. That's when I learned how to just do everything myself, build it myself, do it myself. And I did all of this because I am lazy and I wanted things for myself. It wasn't altruistic at all, and now I'm ready to help people. Adam, take it away.
Thank you very much, Bill. Yeah, I'm Adam Jenkins. I work at the Shizuoka Institute of Science and Technology, and I'm the system admin there. My history in terms of Moodle somewhat pretty much identical to Bill's. I'm a lazy teacher who likes to have good bang for my buck for my students, and Moodle was a good way of providing online resources to my students and not having to really break my back doing it. So yeah, nice to be on the podcast. Thanks for having us.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us here. Let's see. Bill, you said you've been here, that's coming up on 30 years now. Adam, how about you?
About 21 years now, I guess.
Yeah. 21 years. Okay. And have you guys both been using Moodle or EdTech from the very beginning, or did you get into that a different way? How did you enter the Moodle world or the EdTech world? What brought you in?
Well, like I said, this was about 2005. I was teaching at an all-women's university in a call lab of what they called the call lab back then, but it was a call lab. And I wanted to engage my students with the technology as well. And so started looking around, and that's how I got involved in Moodle. Call itself, that came just a little before that. That's when I started working at the university, and they put me in a call lab, and they said, we'd like you to start using these things. And that's how I kind of got into it. I was thrown into it feet first and took it like a duck to water, I guess. Yeah. Quack, quack.
Okay. For me, love the duck reference. For me, I was I started working for the university where I currently work, but as a part-timer back in around about 2007. And at that time, I was only seeing the students once per week, and I realized very, very quickly that was not enough contact hours with the students. They would only study that one day per week, and I wanted to actually have something that could turn their study activity into more of a steady drumbeat. So I made a little website just hand-coded with HTML and stuff like that. And anyway, I was talking about it at a JALT meeting one time, and I think it was Kevin Ryan actually turned to me and said, well, why don't you use Moodle? And I said, I do not know why not. And so I downloaded it, double-clicked it, expected to solve all my problems, and figured out it's a little bit more involved than that. After, and then after that, I looked into Moodle hosting options, and they were prohibitively expensive. So I just figured to myself, well, how hard could it be to build a server? That's just like a computer, right? And it turns out not so hard. So, that was my first introduction, and it proved very beneficial for my students. So I just kept doing it.
Yeah.
It sounds like both of you guys really got into this with a very DIY on-ramp with that. You weren't coming in as experts. You trained yourselves up pretty much in all the skills that were necessary to use Moodle?
That's right. Yeah, I took an old iMac, ripped the system out, and put Red Hat, and I had to do that all by myself. And that's pretty much how I started. Most of it is just
Yeah,
that's what hey, I
back in
can
the
do it.
day, yeah. Back in the day, Red Hat Linux, that was not necessarily an easy install.
No, it was not. Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, my first Moodle server was actually a hand-me-down old machine that a friend of mine wasn't going to use anymore because it was too old and rubbish. And so I figured that, okay, I can grab that and I can install a Linux distro on it. And I think I started out with something like Ubuntu Server. And then just gradually, bit by bit, solved all the problems and was able to even get dynamic DNS working at the home. And then it sat underneath the stairs at my house the first time I used it with students. And so, yeah, very DIY in that even the hardware was actually a Frankenstein built thing just of doodads and bits and bobs that were left over from about several PCs, actually. But yeah, that's about as hands-on as you can get, I guess.
It is, it really is. Yeah, I mean, I've built a lot of systems myself too, but I've never put together something that was purpose designed as a server for a website like that. So for you guys, it sounds a lot like Moodle didn't really start off as an LMS, but more as kind of a toolkit to solve problems. Like what problem was it you were trying to solve with Moodle? Adam, you mentioned students not having enough time, more than once a week being necessary. But what are the problems Moodle was offering to solve that other stuff wasn't?
So yeah, for me, the once a week contact hour thing was terrible for me because I wanted to make sure that I could actually not only set homework for, say, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but also enforce the students actually doing it on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And to give the students who are actually doing it properly a way to demonstrate that they have learned the knowledge, that they have gone through the ropes and actually are prepared for the next class. It solved the problem. So it's sort of like nowadays it's got a trendy name of the flipped classroom, but Japanese people have been calling it yoshu for years and millennia even. The idea of, preparing for the next class. I was able to not only have my students prepare for the next class with multimedia materials, but they were able to prepare, and I was able to see if they had or had not prepared or what they had prepared, so I could tailor my next lesson to actually capitalize on what they've actually studied. So that's a lot of things. And then afterwards, I, to my delight, discovered that you, as a teacher, you can avoid marking. I might let Bill go onto that one because I know it's a big motivator for him as well.
Bill,
my goodness.
Bill, I know you're using Moodle in a very special way right now. You have a special way to use a small Raspberry Pi in the classroom. Can you tell the audience a little bit about that and the benefit of you doing that?
Okay. Yes, I use the Raspberry Pi 5 now with the battery pack, or I can plug it in. Basically, I put a Moodle install on that, and I use it for my testing. By having the kids connect to that, they're not connected to the internet. They're just connected to the Raspberry Pi. It's not connected to the internet at all. So they can't use any of the online services, the Google Translate, right-click translate, that won't work. And
what kind of reaction do you get from the students?
Oh, the very first time I did that, they were like, and I'm like, is there something wrong? No. And it was a shock for them. I had warned them that they would not be able to do this, but they just thought, he's an old guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. We know everything. And then they were a bit shocked. So that is what I do. Actually, I did that today with my writing class to keep them from trying to access any of the AI if they want to. But they're
no,
pretty good.
I guess ChatGPT must be down right now, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The rest of the internet has collapsed. There we go.
Like,
yes.
And then, like Adam said, I started it because, again, I saw my students once a week and wanted to give them work that they could do at home, and I could keep track of them actually doing it if they at least attempted. I mean, you can't, but see how much time they spent on it at least. Also, it was one way of me not having to print papers, collect papers. And again, the automated grading of some of the things. And also, it's really good for, well, now it's better with H5P. It's really good for the formative stuff as well. So that's how I treat it.
Okay. That sounds really good. Luke, I think down at Sojo, you guys use H5P as well.
We are using H5P, and we are also using the Poodle model created by Justin Hunt, which is a recording model. So we record voices. There's AI analysis done on the accuracy, and we ask the students to transcribe what they're saying, and it compares the transcription with the audio file. And it gives a score to the students.
That's really sweet. It's great to be able to automate that sort of thing, and grading, I can see that being a huge motivation.
It's also amazing to have a Robert Remmersveld who does all the stats and analyzes everything also. So it's a team effort.
Oh, it would have to be, yeah.
Is that one Poodle Solo? The solo one that you're using for that?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Well, I just think, Justin Hunt's stuff is just amazing. I mean, he's got the voice recognition stuff.
The P-Chat module we're using.
Yeah. P-Chat is one that I think Justin made together with Sojo.
Exactly, with Mr. Kirschmeyer.
Yeah. So, yeah, very famous stuff. That's very good, very awesome stuff. So, anyone out there, check out Poodle and Justin Hunt stuff. He's awesome.
Well, Adam, thanks. That's a really interesting segue right there into why Poodle and H5P and the X-Reading platform, which is sort of an independent copy or recoding of MReader in some ways, anyway, although it's developed beyond that. Why do you think some of those are moving off the Moodle platform and onto more open web access?
So with MReader, it was just back in the day when it moved away. It was just because not everybody had a Moodle. And if you want to make it available to people who don't have a Moodle, you have to do exactly that. Right. And so to move it off platform helped with that sort of stuff. To me, sorry, I'm not sure if I'm fully heard the question right, but the why Poodle thing is basically because there are multiple interactions that students can have with the content, ways that students interact with the content. And Poodle, I think, offers several new ways that are somewhat unique. The idea of recording your own voice, having text to speech to text actually transcribe it, but also have the students themselves transcribing it as well, gives these are interactions that previously couldn't be imagined. The Poodle Solo module, for example, where you can give them a topic and then just say, have at it. And then they talk about it, and an AI actually can grade that and turn back. With speaking practice, free speaking, not scripted, that system can do these sorts of things that 20 years ago you couldn't imagine.
You really couldn't. It is. Yeah. It's astoundingly good.
The Poodle itself is the one we use, at least, is basically a Moodle with extra functions.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Moodle is available on the web, but you're saying it's basically built using Moodle capabilities, or
It's a Moodle.
is it something you couldn't do with baseline Moodle?
So Moodle, the big M stands for modular. And
Okay.
so Moodle has modules, plugins that can be installed that can do additional things. And Poodle is a suite of, say, I don't know, probably about 20 or 30 plugins. And they all do, each of these plugins does something slightly different. So you've got the AI one, the read speaker, speech, read aloud. Poodle read aloud, for example, is where the students can actually read an actual text, and the AI will actually figure out whether they actually read it properly or not, and you can give them a grade based on that, or fluency grades and things like that. So fluency practice can be done with that. But you pull Poodle solo, and now you've got free speaking. Or the Poodle filter, which allows you to embed a whole bunch of different widgets in other parts of Moodle and things like that. So the functionality is extended by each of these different things. And Poodle is a collection of them that are made for language learning specifically. And so, whereas Moodle is a general learning management system for any subject, Poodle gives you additional tools that really focus on language learning and are just designed for that purpose and do it really well.
It's starting to sound as if you guys with Moodle are running a general purpose system, and some of the stuff that is on there is more specialized, like what Justin has going with Moodle. What have you specifically built on Moodle that is language learning, language teaching oriented? Do you have any plugins that you've made, or plugins that you use specifically? Any kind of workflow that you have going that you use in your class?
So for me, I first of all, my school's Moodle. I work at the Shizuoka Institute of Science and Technology, and I run the Moodle there. And I run the Moodle for about 80 professors, of which 4 of them are language teachers. The remaining 76 of them
are a lot broader than what we're talking about here.
So going with, I'm also a big fan of Paul Rain's work, for example, but it's specifically language learning oriented and therefore can't really be applied in the setting where I am. But Moodle is, general, so you can apply it absolutely anywhere. So I can add, say, things like the Moodle tools, or I can add my own contents like that. And the math teachers are also thrilled with what they can do with it. And the physics teachers are happy, and the chemistry teachers are happy. Everybody's happy, and everybody can share resources on this one platform, which allows for some interesting programs as well, where you can have crossovers between different disciplines even. And everybody being on the same system means that we can all share those sorts of resources and know-how and help each other to build our courses. As for courseware itself, I often have done some courseware sharing in the past with the Charlie Brown's NGSL stuff. I took that and made glossary entry banks and question banks with, say, 3, 4, or 5 distractors, multiple choice questions, matching up the simple definitions that he created with words from the NGSL. And I use that with my students. And they can do banded NGSL practice, weekly banded NGSL practice, and it doesn't cost any marking time or teacher time, because it's basically flashcard practice, 20 words a week or something like that. And then we can share that. I can share that. Bill's using a textbook, and he had some H5P stuff that he shared with me as well. And we've shared materials on, in particular, the Abax book, right? On task 3.
So on task 3. Yeah. So we have the MagNet that we were able to share, and thank you for those NGSL quizzes. My kids love them, so I use them all the time. And you saved me hours of work. Again, that's
That
what it's all
that
about.
sounds like it must be a brand new sentence right there, Bill. That my kids love those NGSL quizzes. I mean, really?
Well, they're doing them. I put them up for them to practice on their own. I didn't make it a homework thing, but I said these are here for you guys to build up your vocabulary. I mean, one of my universities, I have kids who are very high level English speakers. They're actually, the program is taught in English. Everything's taught in English, all their classes. So they have to really work on their vocabulary skills. So I think they're more motivated than my normal students who are like, oh, homework? Oh, okay. Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Guys, I'd like to pick up both of those threads there, but right now we're going to take a quick break and end section 1 right here and go into section 2. In section 2, I'm going to ask you to develop some of the themes that we've talked about here. Bill, with you a little bit here at the end with the students in all English classes and seeing maybe how Moodle works differently with them than with others. And Adam, for you, the crossovers and sharing you mentioned between different parts of your university right there. Okay, and let's take a break, and I'll see you guys and see everybody back in section 2. Adam, during the break, we were discussing how your university made Moodle easy to adopt for everybody. What were some of the strategies or the approach that went into that?
Okay, so when we first started, we wanted to implement we started with the goal of we wanted to actually improve education. And the way to do that was to add an online component, add online materials, and make it easier for students to actually get that. But the way to actually do that, just working backwards from our goal of improving education was, okay, if we do this as a university-wide project, then everyone will be able to benefit from it rather than just one or two teachers. And so we thought about the design. First of all, we chose the platform Moodle because it can do all of the subjects, not just English, not just one or two things. It's open source, which meant that we can customize it to match our needs. And also it's something that's extensible. So even if it can't do what we want, as I said, with the big M, that was a massive part of the consideration, because we wanted to say, okay, if a math teacher says, I want this additional functionality, can we actually build that and provide it? And with Moodle, you can. So all of those were parts of the consideration. We then decided, okay, how are we going to actually get people to adopt it? And we used the English curriculum for that. And we actually made a basic rule. We said all English courses at SIST must use Moodle. And when we did that, we did that knowing that meant that every single first-year student would experience Moodle. Right. And so we could then say after the first semester or after the first few weeks of semester, every single one of the students at SIST have Moodle experience. So if you're a teacher teaching math, physics, or whatever, chemistry, you can tell your students, you can make the materials on the Moodle and then tell the students, it's on Moodle, go get it. And they'll know how to get it. And
because they've already had that experience with all the language learning classes.
So we did the onboarding in English, and then we also continued on to make it so that the student registrations with the courses was done centrally, so that really the teachers only had to focus on teaching. And they didn't have to worry about any of the administration work involved with an LMS, because setting it up, enrolling students, managing student accounts, all of that is a lot of overhead that, seriously, a physics prof doesn't want to deal with that. They just want to get on with the job of teaching. So we made it so that we designed the system so that that's what they would be able to do. And we just made them an offer they don't refuse.
You said right now, we did that and we designed the system this way. How many people was it necessary to have in that we to get this done? And how much work does it take to run this whole thing? Because I know you've got a couple of thousand students at least involved in what's going on.
So we largely started out as me, but
I was suspecting the W might have been turned upside down at some point.
I started using it as a part timer, and I realized how awesome it was, and then I introduced it to my other colleagues who were also the English teachers, and they realized, oh yeah, man, this guy's really onto something here. This Moodle stuff is awesome, and this online education stuff is awesome in general. So we then, as a group of the English teachers at SIST, decided, okay, we can use this to actually make a big impact on the educational system. And that was probably around about 2009, 2010 or so.
All right.
And then, of course, as I said, we made it compulsory throughout the entire English curriculum so that all students would get experience with it because of the Hissuego, it's compulsory courses. And so we had to have all of the English professors at the university on board with that. And I got lucky because my colleagues are fantastic and they helped out a bunch, and even the part-timers got on board and they said, yeah, let's do this. And we were able to get online and get everything working. And then afterwards, just say to the other teachers, yeah, it's ready.
And you can experience the awesomeness too if you just put your materials up here.
Yeah, this is the easy way. As I say, make them an offer they can't refuse by saying, hey, this is the easiest way you can add an e-learning component to your courses. There is no easier way than this. And if you think that there's some problem with it and it's not the easiest way, let us know and we'll fix that. And we'll make it the easiest way.
Did the university or administration get involved in encouraging people, or were there any mandates or policies supporting also providing e-learning in certain courses? Anything along those lines?
Gets a little political there, but but no, not at first. In particular, at first, I don't think anybody really believed that this was going to become a big thing. But didn't stop us. We just went on with it, and it was really a grassroots movement. In a few years after that, after it had started taking off, I remember the president of our university at the time, he actually suggested, should we make this compulsory use for other professors and things? And I said, well, I think we actually get, having the discussion, I said, well, I think we actually get a better bang for our buck if the guys who are using it want to use it. And that way they're going to be the ones who are putting on good, worthwhile materials, which the students are going to appreciate because they were created by somebody, they had the secret ingredient of love.
Right. Well, and just as we see in language learning, right, where motivation is just one of those key multiplier factors in student achievements and everything, right? So absolutely.
Yeah, the enthusiasm of the professor really goes a long way into making, gripping materials. So that really, I think, was the right call at that time. But yeah, I've gradually, over the years, the university has warmed up more and more to the iLearn e-learning system, and so which is built on Moodle, of course. So
that sounds great. But Bill, do you see a lot more motivation? Is there a lot of excitement in those students that you were talking about in section 1 who are in English only programs?
Yeah, when I first started there, I used the book because I took over from somebody who had left, and I used the book, and it felt like this isn't really a special class. These are just kids who are going through the motions, and I was like, well, the book really, it sucked. No easy way to put it. I'm sorry. It was not a good book, and I was thinking, well, so I started talking to them, like, well, what kind of things are you interested in? Okay, good. They gave me some ideas. They want to know about finance. They want to know about stock markets. They want to know about different economics. It's a business course. It's called the Global Business course. So I said, okay, well, then that's easier. How about I set up some things on my website and we'll work with that. So I went and grabbed some videos from like TED Education about things and put that up. In the beginning, I just put it up. Okay, we got that. Okay, now let's talk about the topics there. Then I started saying, okay, well, we need to beef this up. So then start grabbing the transcript, start making vocabulary quizzes from it, which they enjoyed. They said, okay, this is very helpful. There's certain terminology we don't know, or we know it, but we don't know how to use it. Boom. So the students actually motivated me to create a business course. Basically a combination of videos, discussion questions, H5P type exercises. Then I made some that were turned into more or less like essay type questions that they had to research and come up with, and then they could do that. So the kids actually were the ones that got me motivated.
Right. So you built all this onto Moodle for these particular kids. And
Yes.
in a situation like this, what's the tipping point where the effort becomes worth it and the return just suddenly starts to exceed everything that you've had to put into it? Is there any way you can quantify that or explain it?
They're my best students, so it's kind of hard for me to say, well, their grades have improved drastically because they're at a higher level, but their motivation, they actually are saying, could you make this a little more difficult? Or this is too difficult for us. They're actually they're giving me feedback. So that means they're actually engaging with the material both in and out of class. So for me, that was just life changing to have students like that. I've never had a class like that. And this is my 4th year of doing it now. And this is my 3rd year. And I'm still getting a lot of the kids. I have the largest business English class in that school now. The other teacher has like 6 students. I had 47. So, and I'm saying we got to break it up into 2 classes. It's just too many because I do a Shark Tank type video project or a presentation project with the class as throughout the whole course. So, and having that many students is just too hard to really do it in a reasonable time. But I would say the tipping point was when they started coming up to me and saying, Professor, could you please add more of this? Or Professor, could you make this a little easier? Things like that. And, going back to even what Adam was saying with his university, that reminded me when I first started promoting Moodle at one of my universities and getting people were like, well, why aren't you as busy? Well, I'm using Moodle. What is this magical thing that keeps you less busy? And it's the same idea.
Yeah, I think
they were able to, I could give them some of the material I had because we pretty much had a coordinated course. And so it was easy for them to implement it, and then they created, and then we shared more. So I think that also is the thing. Yeah.
I think maybe, Bill, one of the things that Jeff was getting at there was the idea of, where's the tipping point of the effort required to build and maintain a Moodle versus the effort required to mark all of those rubbish.
You're right, yeah. Well, I mean, that is, once you have material, you just have to change little bits. You don't have to recreate. You already have it. You just, it's like a textbook, but you can change it in a flash if you need to. I have had to do that. I was in the middle of a class and I noticed these kids were struggling. I had to tone down the next part of the lesson. Again, I noticed the kids were going through this too quick. Boom, I had to change that. So,
Bill, can you explain for the people who don't know what H5P is? Can give
Okay.
a description of the beauty of using HIP when you're doing Moodle?
Okay. First, I'm very clear. I use H5P only as formative. I don't believe it's a good assessment tool. It's a good formative assessment, but not summative. I mean, that I want to be clear about that. Okay. Um, what I like about H5P in the students like it, there are various types of activities. You can have a video, and you just take your questions that you would usually most books you have the video you show on the screen, they're in the book and they're writing their answers. While they're watching the video, it stops, the question pops up in front of them. If they get the answer, they can move on. Or if you want to prevent them from moving on because they don't have the answer, it rolls back a certain amount of time, usually like 10 to 20 seconds, and then they have to watch that part again to get the answer. You can allow it so that it can only rewind, but you can't fast forward.
That's great.
So that's another feature. I mean, they have like 30 or 40 different activities in there. It's I mean, you can do flashcards, you can do all kinds of things. Yes, Adam.
If I might chime in on there as well, is one of the things that makes it past that tipping point as well of worthwhile setting up is that, for example, with something like H5P, if you imagine it's pre H5P correlate, the idea of you're in a classroom, you're giving a listening exercise to students, you're playing the recording on a cassette tape, and they listen to it, they write down the questions, you collect the question papers, you mark them manually. The following week, you give them, finally, they get their feedback back 1 week late.
Damn.
And how useful is that for education? I would say not very. But if you build a Moodle, now they can take that quiz as many times as they need to understand the content, to master the content. The feedback they get is instantaneous.
Yes.
It's automatically graded, so the teacher, once setting it up once, never has to worry about it again. You reuse. What is it? 3 R's, right, Bill?
Oh yeah, reuse, recycle, and repurpose.
All in materials every year. You build it once, and you have it for life.
Yeah.
And the students, unlimited numbers of students, can take it again and again and again, all the way into the future. Future you is constantly saying, thank you, past you, because you've got the materials built.
And if you have a good heart, you could always share it with a coworker.
And
within Moodle, it's quite easy to share material with coworkers or other teachers in other universities if necessary.
I mean, there is one advantage outside of Moodle with H5P. It can be done in WordPress. So if they're not Moodle people, they can still put it in a WordPress. So it's again, or they can actually put it, I believe h5p.org allows you to put up material, but it's
don't you have to pay for that? I think
no. As long as you leave it open to everybody, so you can't use it for your own purpose. It will go worldwide.
Okay, so you guys obviously have 100 different use cases for this, and are Moodle's biggest fans in Japan. I mean, this is very, very obvious here. But what about the question that some people are going to ask? Why Moodle instead of Canvas or Google Classroom or Teams? What's your 60-second answer there?
Okay, Google Classroom, I use this, I hear it a lot. I say, if you're trying to give a vocabulary quiz, they can just translate it all in Japanese. They don't have to know English.
So level of control over the environment is a big thing.
Yeah, but it forces them to stay in English and not just switch over to Japanese for the easy answer.
Okay. For me, the answer to that question is, I think if I can rephrase that question to what happened to a lot of people during the pandemic, why not Edmodo? There were a bunch of people who were perfectly happy using Edmodo until suddenly they weren't. And, you can't have that happen with Moodle because it's an open source platform. Even if Moodle HQ decided suddenly they weren't going to do that, Yikes. Sorry. Yeah. Even if Moodle HQ decided they weren't going to continue on with Moodle, somebody else would just fork the project, or you yourself could fork the project and continue on without Moodle HQ. See you later, wouldn't want to be you. But at Moodle, when they said, no, that's it, it's game over, it was game over. With Google Classroom, whatever you can and cannot do in Google Classroom is decided not by the teachers, not by the admins, but by Google.
By Google, right.
That
And
lack
Google
of
has
freedom
canceled
is-
and closed an awful lot
Yeah.
of stuff over the years. It was useful.
Yeah. Google Plus, anybody?
Mm.
Also, if you look at the Moodle community, the whole sharing ethos, the communism that works, it's a bunch of people sharing materials, sharing expertise, sharing plugins. It's just a whole big sharing ecosystem of, hey, let's help each other out. Their motto is empowering educators to improve our world, and they live by those words. What's not to love?
So what you're saying is it's not all moot when it comes to Moodle. Is that pretty much it?
No, but the moots are awesome too.
The moots are awesome too.
Help you to connect with other people who have the same passion.
Talk about the moot. What is the Moodle moot? And where is the upcoming Moodle moot? Because I know that you guys want to talk about that.
Right, yeah. So the Moodle Moots are basically conferences around the LMS Moodle, where researchers, admins, people from all parts of the Moodle community come together and share ideas, materials, techniques, expertise, different ways of using it, pedagogical ideas. Everything just gets talked about at the Moodle Moot. And we've got one coming up in Shizuoka, at Shizuoka Station, basically 2 minutes walk away from Shizuoka Station. There's a Shinkansen there and everything. It's very easy access from February 27th to March 1st. And Bill and I will both be there. We'll be giving presentations and, Bill's also and I are arranging the first day's workshops, which are completely free for anyone to attend and learn about how to Moodle. Some of them being super beginner workshops. We've also got Susan Makey lined up to do a presentation at the very, very basic level of Moodle. So zero experience required. You walk in and she gets rave reviews for her workshops and everything. And then, thereon, it just goes up and up. And the later on the workshop day, the later workshops are also about more complex topics, including even AI integrations, securities, and for the admins, upgrading Moodles to 5.1 and so on and so on.
Yeah.
All right, so it's all about Moodle there. Luke, Sojo
Yes.
uses Moodle mostly through the Poodle platform, right there.
Exactly.
Is there an awful lot going on at the Moodle Moot for people who are using Poodle?
Justin Unt will be there, I believe, or was there in the past. So he collaborates with the community, and he's very, very active on the Moodle AI group. There are discussions going on from people from around the world, and he's one of them. Adam's a part of that group. I'm part of it too. I'm a little bit more quiet, but there are people in England. There are people from everywhere. So yes, Poodle and Justin Hunt and the stuff that we're doing at Social is definitely represented at the Moodle Moot, especially Rob Herschel, who we interviewed before, and Chris Tempest.
Okay. Is the Moodle Moot in Japan dominated by language teachers, or is there a lot more variety there?
It, in recent years, has been somewhat half and half. I think there are a lot more language teaching Moodlers than there are other disciplines at the moment. And for that reason, we actually made the theme of this year's Moodle Moot in Shizuoka is supporting all domains, STEM, medicine, languages, and beyond. And we've got plenary speakers. Our keynote speakers are actually mainly going to be talking, well, two of them are going to be talking about the stack question type, which is this amazingly powerful one for mathematics education. And there's another keynote is talking about medical education, and the last one is Gina Liotto from Moodle HQ, and she'll be talking about rubrics in language education.
Yes, rubrics.
So we got something for everyone here.
All right, it sounds like there really is a lot for anybody who wants to come and learn about Moodle at the Moot. And that,
definitely.
How would somebody go ahead and register for that? How would somebody look into what's going on there at the Moodle Moot?
The best way is to go to moodlejapan.org. Right? That's https://moodlejapan.org.
The specificity
that's the
is
website,
appreciated.
and the information is there, and the registration and things like that is also there. The call for abstracts is probably going to be closed by the time this podcast airs, I think. But
Oops.
It's Sunday.
I don't know. I don't know if Jeff is aware, but the Moodle Moot runs on Indigo, the conference platform.
Oh, outstanding. Well, I kind of would have expected that since Adam is the chair this year, I believe.
Well, no. And by the way, I did not build the Indigo platform for JALT. That was Bill.
I did do that. Yeah.
All right.
With Adam's help,
guys,
thank you.
You guys have been involved with Moodle for 20 years and presumably going to be involved going on into the future, right? We're here at a moment in language teaching where it seems like 95.73% of everything everybody's talking about is AI, and how AI is going to be the new interface for everything, and how AI is going to solve all the problems, even while it is actually bringing quite a few problems in at the same time. But we're not really here to talk about AI. What I want to do is use this as a comparison point for where is Moodle going to be in 5 years. AI exploded on the scene 3 years and a couple of weeks ago, and now seems to have taken everything over. Where do you guys see Moodle being, and what will Moodle make available? How much will AI become a part of Moodle, and how is it going to affect people's adoption of Moodle going forward, or what's available on the platform? What are your predictions?
I mean, Moodle, I think Moodle will be very relevant. Like we said, it's modular. So there are companies like Catalyst who are making plugins to add AI. I mean, there are many plugins involving AI. I feel that Moodle seems to be embracing it by allowing APIs and other Moodle AI systems, not just ChatGPT or Google's Gemini, but Olama, you can add your own, you can add other ones. So I think Moodle is very aware, and they are doing their best to get that involved in there. Adam, you have more experience with this than I do.
Well, from my perspective, Moodle and it sort of reminds me of the SDGs. The fourth of those is quality education, and I like how they added the word quality education, not just education, but they are talking about how the quality does matter. I think AI is quantity and quantity alone. The quality is not there. Hallucinations and just incorrect information. How many R's are there in strawberry? You can't trust an AI as far as you could kick it. But Moodle, when you actually have proper interactions with materials designed by people, professional educators who have studied pedagogy and how to actually teach, that these people leading the education, not an AI algorithm telling what the LLM thinks. We should teach everybody there are only 2 R's in strawberry, but actually, hey, this is what's the best bang for your buck in terms of language learning. Let's go. Let's work together. And I don't think AI is ever going to replace that. And another topic I hope we can get to is the IVE project. AI cannot replicate that. There's just no way. And the IVE project runs on Moodle. So that relevance is going to remain for sure. Also, there are just so many other aspects of education beyond language learning that Moodle also accommodates for with the modular aspect of it. So some of those actually incorporate AI as part of it. But I don't think that AI is actually going to take over education at all. Sorry, I dismissed that one out because I just can't see it happening. AI just is nowhere near good enough to do what educators do. Sorry, AI, but we're still better than you.
Well, I think that's a great place to wrap up our Moodle segment right here in section 2. And why don't we take a quick break, and then we'll come back for section 3, where we can get into the IVE project. And Bill, if you have a passion project you want to bring up, and then I'd like to ask you guys for a recommendation: one book, one resource, one tip for everybody on the show. All right, let's take a quick break. See you again in section 3.
Welcome back to section 3. We've talked a lot about Moodles, and now I would like to talk a little bit more about other projects that are maybe related to Moodles, especially with Adam. I know you've been very active in the Hive project. Can you describe a little bit what the Hive project is?
Sure. So the IVE project actually runs on a Moodle, so there's the connection. But it's basically International Virtual Exchange. In the past exchange, just to describe that one, it just finished a couple of weeks ago, but it was 3,000 students from all over the world: Sudan, Ukraine, Colombia, Indonesia, people from all over the world coming together, doing a few tasks together, side quests and things like that. But then the main thing is that they jump into the forums and exchange messages with each other. And there are different levels of control as to how that's done. They're supported in actually how they get in there. We have pre-flight activities to start them off and make sure that they hit the ground running when they actually start exchanging messages with other people from overseas. And it's just perhaps, it's authentic language use. Not because it's something that teachers tried to make authentic, because it actually is authentic language use in English as the lingua franca.
Is it something that's been you do live, or they can do it in an asynchronous mode?
It's done asynchronously, mainly because everybody's in different time zones. And it's also one of the things that is unique about this particular exchange is that everyone participating is a second language learner. They are not second or foreign language learners. They're not native speakers with a non-native speaking class or something like that. It's not dual language or something. Although there have been people who've used the platform for dual language exchange as well. The actual IVE project itself is not that. It's all second language learners, so everybody's on the same standing, on the same perspective. Yeah,
I believe we're using it right now at Social University, so we're part of the IVE project. Robert Rimmerswald is doing his PhD on a similar topic, and he's using it within Social University. So it's a great project. I've been following it along, and it's very good.
Yeah, I often would say to it, it's the best thing you can do with your language students. The best.
How can people get involved?
Just go to iveproject.org, and there is information on that page that should be able to guide you through it. You can send an email to Eric at iveproject.org. That's Eric Hagley. He was a guest on the podcast a couple of months ago, but he also he'll get you straight in there and help you out. If you have your own Moodle as well, you might end up getting in contact with me, and I'll help you set up an LTI connection if you so wish.
That's great. Bill, do you have any passion project you would like to share with us? Something that you do for fun or not necessarily related to Moodle?
I mean, I play around with Raspberry Pis. I'm actually trying to get a little more comfortable using Docker with my Pi. So that's something that I started, but then I became very business. Unfortunately, I am involved in many things. I'm a teacher. I'm also a dorm parent, so that does create its own complexities of scheduling.
That would keep anybody busy.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have 40 students from various countries, and they are almost all gone now. Yes. It's the holiday break. The rest will leave tomorrow, and then we're free for a couple of weeks. And then gives me time. But so, I mean, doing things with pies, I do more server style things than, like, Luke, you do more like building things with pies more so.
Exactly.
I deal more with the software inside it and things like that, and building web servers and stuff like that. Yeah.
Talking about servers, I would like to thank Bill for supporting the students of the computer science department at Soju University. They are using Moodle currently to build an app for kindergarten children.
Yeah.
To better understand the alarms that are connected to BOSAI or emergency services in Japan, emergency alarms. So these students are all computer science students, and they're making videos using H5P, and they will make this app for very, very small children that barely reads Japanese.
Really, that is a cool project.
It's a very, very interesting project. The project is slowly moving toward completion, and in early January, the children will use it on tablets in school.
Yeah.
And this is something I would love to present next year at the Moodle Moot. And thank you, Bill, for supporting the effort of these students.
You know, I recently talked with a colleague who used Moodle in elementary school. It was a few years back, so I was quite shocked. I was like, wow. In Japan, she had used Moodle. I believe last year at the Moodle Moot, we had a presenter from Germany. I wish I could remember her name, but she also uses Moodle with elementary schools, and she has a lot of like icons and images and things that the students, our teachers, can use to help build a more friendly environment and enticing environment for the younger learners. And so I think it's doing a good job for that nowadays. I think Moodle can really help even the little ones.
And for people who don't know, Moodle is available in easy Japanese.
Yes, it is. Yep, they have an easy.
And I believe Adam will correct me, but I think it's also available in easy English or kids English. I'm not sure.
I think so. There are a couple of different language pack versions. So yes. Yeah, and some of them are simple English or simple Japanese and simple.
I didn't know they had a simple English, but that's I'm good. I want to look into that one. Yeah,
I'm actually also it's available in Burmese.
It is available in Burmese.
The efforts of Luc Gaujean.
Yes.
Wow.
Thank you.
I was working with by myself with an organization, and they had a team in Burma, in Myanmar, and we realized that the Myanmar language pack was lacking, and the team itself was stuck at home because the war just broke in Myanmar, and they asked me what they could do to stay busy, and they translated almost the whole thing in the Myanmar language.
Wow.
And this is how I got reconnected with Adam because Adam contacted me by email. He says, "Are you the guy who's doing the translation of the Burmese pack?" And I was like, "Yeah." And we got reconnected that way.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of crossovers, sharing, and communism that works, as you put it, Adam, that sounds exactly like what's happening with this system here as well. That is just amazing stuff. Guys, I think we could keep talking forever, and that would give Brian some serious problems with editing down the the broadcast here. So, Luke, you want to take these guys on the outro here and find out what they recommend to everybody else?
Yes, gentlemen. I'll start with Adam. Are there any books or apps or software that you would recommend to our listeners? It's this time of the year where there's a lot of good recommendation that's been given out, and
Yeah, so I really want to give a shout out to Alex Burke's book. She edited together with Davey Young and Melodie Cook, and she made the Barrier-Free Instruction in Japan book, recommendations for teachers at all levels of schooling. A great book and a well-needed one. Alex has also been a big supporter of accessibility in general for decades, and she even lit the fire under my backside that got me to end up writing and publishing the accessibility plugin for Moodle, which is now used by about an estimated roughly 500,000 people globally since it was released last year. So that is just that her impact on the world and making education more accessible to everybody is just amazing. And go get that book, Barrier-Free Instruction in Japan, Recommendations for Children's at All Levels of Schooling, and it'll open your eyes to another world out there. And you'll get better results from your students if you read that book and apply what you learn from it. So
thank you very much, Adam. Great recommendation. How about you, Bill?
A book that I recently started looking into is a book called Making Thinking Visible. How to promote engagement, understanding, independence for all learners. This is something that my wife actually read a while back, and they're actually going to have one of the authors come and give a workshop on it. So I started to pick it up, and it's really quite interesting because one of the biggest problems we have is we sometimes think our kids don't understand because Adam's in the same boat. I work with a lot of science majors, as Luke does well. Okay, so these kids aren't usually very vocal, and most of, at least my classes, are often oral communication. They understand what's going on, but they're not the type to want to speak out in class. So it kind of gives you ideas of how to draw the kids out and try to get them to show you their understanding, making it some way that you can see how they're so you see it, they're thinking, it becomes visible to you. So whether they do it through artwork or little videos and different types of things, music and stuff, whatever it may be. So again, I'm at the beginning of the book, but it's helped me to understand my students a lot more, I think. And I wish I had read this book earlier myself.
Thank you, Bill. We'll put the link for the books in the show notes, and you can easily find them on the Jot Call podcast webpage.
Okay. Can I offer a tip?
Yes, please.
I actually have two tips. One is very simple. When you're starting out with anything, especially tech, ask others for help. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything to, and also offer your help when you know something. We often say this to our students. There are things help your classmates. They're going to help you. Same idea. So we have to practice what we preach. And the one that I forgot who said it exactly, but don't be afraid of failure. Failure is your teacher. Adam knows this as well as everybody here knows it. How did you learn something? You failed at it. You picked it up, did it again. Just fail. It's going to happen. No.
Yeah.
That fits in perfectly with the the theme of Jalt Calls conference next year, 2026, in sorry, not Utsunomiya. Why do I want to say that? Nishinomiya at Konan University. Prevail or fail. And we want people to talk about both because you're right. Both carry enormous lessons. It's great. All right, Adam, did you have a tip? You know, throw right there.
Yeah. I also had some resources I didn't mention, but Moodle.org and MoodleJapan.org. Moodle.org for general Moodle help. You can go in there. They've got forums and everything where you can ask anyone for help and take the tip of Bill's and ask people for help with anything Moodle related as well. And they're a very vibrant community there. MoodleJapan.org, of course, because I want you guys to come to my Moodle Moot. So visit that, figure it out, get your plane tickets, get your hotels booked, get down there because I want to be having a beer with you there. For my tip, though, I was trying to think of something piffy, but basically I came up with the idea, genius is just doing something because you didn't know it was impossible. So my tip is don't convince yourself that you can't do something before you even try. Just try doing it, and you never know. I mean, as I said, with my origin story with Moodle, it started because I said, well, how hard could that be? And I looked into starting to do the service thing, and it turns out it wasn't as hard as perhaps a lot of people might imagine. Especially when it comes to the world of tech. I mean, a lot of this stuff is copy-paste. And I'm absolutely sure Bill's going to back me up on this because he gave a presentation where he talked about copy-paste commands and you'll have a Moodle server.
Yes.
Right?
It really is. Yeah. And it's easy. It is. Yeah.
So don't ever tell yourself that you can't do it. I've shown several people over the last couple of years how to build their own Olama AI server, self-hosted completely without actually connecting to the internet for anything. And the reaction I get most of the time from that is, oh my God, that's it? Yes, that's it. It isn't as hard as everybody thinks. So, try doing something that you might have previously convinced yourself that you can't. You might surprise yourself.
So wait a minute. The takeaway here is that we've made an enormous mistake interviewing you guys because all the stuff you do is incredibly easy and there really wasn't any reason to talk to you about it.
Yeah, but we know it's easy.
we're telling you how
that's
easy
the secret we're telling. That's the value for listeners.
Okay, all right. So we came to you because you are, in fact, the oracles of copy paste. There we go. That's perfect. That'll work.
I also would like to just say, if you're looking into Raspberry Pis, raspberrytips.com. And they have a lot of different projects and, again, a lot of copy and paste. And let's have something fun to play with, something awesome to do. And if you ever need a copy and paste to help set up a Moodle server, let me know. I'll flip you one or different ones in no time. And then I also do a lot of reading on Edutopia just for keep me grounded in my teaching, because I am not a linguist. I've never studied linguistics, so I like to do more ed tech. So this kind of helps me, just more so for me, I think. But it's a lot of good stuff and some stuff for general call as well as, of course, education.
Okay, all right. What do you guys have that's coming up for you?
Well, we're going. I believe we're both going down to see Luke and Kumamoto for the Sun Lift in February 12th through the
14th, I think.
Yes.
Yep. And then, of course, Adam.
Well, I'm going to go over to the STEAM conference as well in Okinawa in mid-February.
Envious.
Yeah, I know that's probably not what Bill was hoping I'd mention next, but I just feel like I got to rub it in. Sig, and I believe your own Brian Gallagher is also pretty involved in organising that one as well.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure Brian's going to be there, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Moodle Moot, Japan, where I'm actually conference chair, so I will definitely be at that one. February 22nd, February 27th to March 1st in Shizuoka City.
Yes. Please be there.
MoodleJapan.org.
And since this is the Jolt Call podcast, there's a lot of Jolt Call members that attend the Moodle Moot.
Yeah.
So you will be surrounded by common friends, and you're gonna be able to make new friends.
Yeah, it's actually probably going to be a little bit different this time because we're also implementing villages. Probably mentioning this too late, but villages there, and I'm actually planning on doing one that's going to be a fun one, a village on hacking Moodles. So yeah, come and see a demonstration of how someone might actually compromise a Moodle site, because that's always fun.
My.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
There you go.
Should be a lot of
teaser there at the end.
A lot of exciting stuff there, and maybe some excitement after the workshop too. We'll see what that results in. Okay. What do we have upcoming for Jolt Call, Luke?
For Jolt Call, give me 1 second. For Jolt Call, there'll be the Jolt Call Symposium at Kyoritsu Women University in Tokyo on a Saturday, March 7, 2026. And of course, you will hear more about it, but we'll have the big Jolt Call Conference 2026 at Conan Cube this summer.
That's right. And we also try to host a breakout session at the monthly Jolt ZPD, where we offer to basically answer questions or give people more information about Jolt Call, anything they're interested in as far as that. The conference that Luke mentioned, Jolt Call Conference, the call for abstracts is now open. So if you're interested in coming down and joining us in Nishinomiya and telling us about what you're doing or enlightening us with a workshop, something like that, we would love to hear from you. Please go ahead with that.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening to the Jolt Call podcast. We're always looking for your feedback. Do not hesitate to contact us. And I would like to thank Bill White and Adam Jenkins to be our guests today. And of course, Mr. Jeff Carr for being a brilliant co-host. Thank you very much. And we are looking to hear for more about you. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me. This has been
Thank you
great.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Great to have you guys on here. Thanks. It's been a pleasure. All right. As usual, we're going to finish up with a message for listeners. We would like to remind you that we want to hear from you. If you're working on any special projects, if you want to reach out to other listeners for collaboration, or if you want to launch something new, then contact us at program@joltcall.org and let us help you broadcast your message to everyone. If you have a Jolt Call or just a Jolt-oriented call-related event, a collaboration or chapter event, or really anything technology-related, we want to hear from you. Remember, that's program@joltcall.org.